everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming, and welcome to this specific webinar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marta Perez, and I am working in Medtronic as a consultant. In this project, I am leading the open call, and today I'm not alone. I would like to introduce my partner in the project, Alejandro Medrano. He's a PhD researcher at Bioengineering at the Telecommunication Engineering Faculty in Madrid. He's leading the Odin Platform integration, so we will give you the technical aspects of the platform. So the webinar is divided in two main sections. Open call overview and platform overview. I will speak in the first place, explaining the open call. And for this, I will give you a short overview of the project. And then I will continue explaining the basis of the call, and I will finalize telling you how to apply. Okay, then with no more delays, I will start. Okay. Well, Odin is a project that was born under the umbrella of the goal of artificial intelligence for the smart hospital of the future in Horizon 2020 programs, and comes from the necessity of the hospitals in deliver innovative artificial intelligence-based solutions. Odin is a European multi-center pilot study focused on the enhancement of the hospital safety, productivity, and quality. The main objective is to deliver an open digital platform supporting a suite of services and key enabling resources empowered by robotics, Internet of Things solutions, and specialized artificial intelligence. These resources are being implemented in three reference areas of the hospital interventions: workers, robots, and medical locations, and also are being tested through 7 clinical use cases in leading hospitals of 6 European countries: Spain, France, Germany, Poland, Netherlands, and Italy. Summarizing, Odin is a scalable, extensible, interoperable, and open-based platform to support robotic solutions, IoT, artificial intelligence-based applications to improve hospital efficiency and increase their productivity. The value of Odin services is expected to increase according to the number of users integrating with the Odin platform. The consortium will be enlarged through the current established networks and participants from this open call. In this context, the Odin ecosystem will engage partners mainly from the healthcare and ICT domains, artificial intelligence, robotics, IoT, etc. Odin ecosystem can be seen as two sides that interact with each other. The demand side, from one side, potential users that consume services such as hospitals, and in the other side, we have the supply partners and associated partners which produce or create and offer their services. In summary, Odin ecosystem will work as follows. The supply side will provide a catalog of technologies that will be complemented and expanded as required, and the demand side will perform an internal health technology management cycle, test, install, and deploy, in order to identify potential challenges, needs, bottlenecks, and opportunities. So how to collaborate with the project? We have created the open innovation community with two main lines of works. We have from one side the open call. It's an initiative to finance new solutions and use cases. And from the other side, we have the Open Innovation Hub. It's a community of partners, mainly from the healthcare and ICT domains, interested in sharing experience, learning, challenge, services, solutions, good practice, and use cases, positioning Europe at the forefront of hospitals 4.0 revolution based on highly digitalized and roboticized health installations. If you want more information or being part of this amazing community, please check our website for registration. Now we are going to explain with more details the open call. The main objective of the open call is to deploy innovative artificial intelligent robotics IoT solutions for healthcare providers using Odin elements for design, implementation, and deployment of new services, resources, and use cases. It's a great opportunity for offering your solution with a mature ecosystem at European level, to have access and share knowledge and evidence of benefits of services based on artificial intelligence, robotic, and IoT, to have better understanding of current needs and gap of the services offered in hospitals, and also to have access to companies of the key industry in artificial intelligence, robotic, and IoT, and also relative domains. Odin is looking for private and public hospitals willing to incorporate Odin Platform and deploy current or new use cases. But also Odin is looking for innovative technologies, startups, SMEs, industry, universities, research technological centers deploying artificial intelligence, robotic, and IoT solutions that can be implemented within the healthcare sector. You can see here the eligibility criteria that are also written in the guide for applicant. Some few remarks: only one entity per proposal will be admitted, and the organization must be registered in a member state of the European Union or in a Horizon 2020 associated countries. If you have any doubt regarding which country can apply to this call, I recommend to make a research in Google, type in the following list of countries eligible for funding, and then clicking the link, you will see a general annex of 2 pages listing the countries that will be eligible to receive funding through Horizon 2020 grants. The proposals may address one of the two challenges, and the sub-cases listed below to demonstrate how they will implement the solutions in the platform. The challenge 1 is open to proposals willing to offer the technologies to solve one of the 4 sub-cases proposed: inventory management, anomaly detection, hospital object recognition, and reusable workflow. Only one single entity can present the proposal, as I just mentioned, and the budget for this challenge is 60,000 euros per each proposal. Challenge 2, the challenge is open to proposals with pilots, providing artificial intelligence, robotic, and IoT solutions aligned with Odin reference use cases, or providing a new use case related to our domains. We are looking for consortia composed by minimum, not maximum, minimum 2 entities, and that is the hospital from one side and the technology provider from the other side. I mean, this is 2 entities minimum, but of course, the consortia is open for 3 or 4 companies is requested. The budget for this challenge is 120,000 euros per each proposal. The call is active. It was published last 1st of July and will be open during 3 months. That means that the deadline to send the proposals is 29th of September. Then in October and in November, we will have the evaluation period, and the winner list will be published at the end of November. All applicants will receive a notification, even if the proposal has been rejected, and the winners will receive a request for signing the third-party agreement during December. Then all the funded projects will start middle of January, and they will have a total duration of 12 months. And what does evaluation measure? Well, we'll measure the excellence, the soundness of the concept, quality of objectives, and innovative elements present in the proposal. Also the quality and efficiency of the implementation and the management, feasibility of the work plan, quality and effectiveness of the technical methodology, including the work plan, contribution to collaboration with Odin to achieve objectives of the project, justification of the resources, etc. The impact is the potential impact through the development, dissemination, and use of the project results, and sustainability is the commitment to long-term vision and sustainability of the Odin project. Each category will be scored on a scale from 0 to 5. The overall maximum score is 20. For a proposals to be considered for being selected for funding, the score has to pass a threshold of 3 out of 5 in each individual category, and the total points must reach the minimum threshold of 15 points. Well, we are arriving to the end of my presentation, which is the application process. Follow these very, very simple 3 steps to get the documentation and submit your proposal. First, you should have to complete the registration in our main website to obtain and download, to obtain the documentation. Second is the download all the required documentation. And third step is submit your proposal. The documentation includes the guide for applicant that presents a brief overview of the context and approach of Odin projects and detail with all the information required to guide you in preparing a proposal for the open call. Second document is a platform overview which gives you the technical needed to understand the insights of the platform. And the final documents are the applicant template, which is composed of from three different documents: the template to write the proposal, which is a Word document, and 2 budget 2 Excel files. One is for single companies, the ones that they want to submit the proposal for the challenge 1, and the other is the for the consortia for the challenge 2. How to submit your application? To submit and evaluate proposals, we are using a specific platform. You will need to sign up, creating a new account for this platform. Once the new account is created, you will receive a confirmation email to ensure that the registration was successful. Please check always your spam folder. Then you need to log in with your new user, and then you will be able to submit your proposal. If you have any doubt during this process, please contact us. The Odin Open Call is using this email, opencall@odin-smarthospital.tv. And well, I stop here, and now I give the floor to Alejandro Medrano to explain the platform and also the technical aspects.
Thank you, Marta. I've been reading that there are some questions already posted to the chat. Hopefully I'll be able to answer some of them during this presentation, and maybe at the end we can have a couple of minutes to concretely answer those questions. So today I'm going to explain a bit in more depth the Odin platform and how we expect at this stage for open callers to explain the integration strategies and how to proceed with the technical elements of this integration and design their solution for this. First of all, I would like to give a definition of what we understand as care and provide a list of key enabling resources that we have already identified in the project. Then I'll provide a very complete platform overview, at least as it is conceived right now and implemented as it is as today. It's not completed yet, as we will complete the platform throughout the project. So some features will not be available just yet, maybe through more time, different phases, we will be able to achieve those features. Then I'm going to also provide a bit more in-depth view of some of the components, or again, planned components for the platform. So a bit more in-depth view of what we mean by some components and what features these components provide. And finally, I would like to summarize what are the integration routes that we expect from technology providers, mainly for this open call. So opening the discussion here with definition of care or key enabling resource. For us, this care is, we use care as acronym because it is very similar to KETS, key enabling technologies, but we change technology with resource because when we understand the concept, it's a bit more, it could be understood a bit more than just the technology. At this stage, we can understand this as from the platform perspective as the wrapped version of a technology. So a key enabling resource is something that can be imported into a hospital, it can be installed, it can be used there, all packaged and understand in an understandable way, not just to the administrations of the hospital and the users of the hospital, but also for other technology providers of technology for that hospital. And this means that behind each care, there's a description level for what this technology is, what services it provides, what data it connects, what services it's consuming, and many other things. Another point there is to understand that cares, depending on this definition of care, you can have different levels of granularity of your care. So, for example, you can have a complete application that is just there and you can just interact with the application, or you can have an application divided more into its different components, data, services, UI, and register each of those parts of the application independently as independent cares. And that way you will be familiar with the paradigm of microservices. So we are trying to steer towards that paradigm in terms of hospital technology provision, because that way we could extract and pick and choose the different use cases that each technology provides, and then provide new use cases from there. I'm going to go deeper into that. Cares, right now we have different categories of cares. We are continuously talking about AI, IoT, robotics, but cares also comprise data sources as the hospital information system, or full-on applications with the UI and so on. Here is a very brief summary and not complete summary of what we have in the project. As you see, we are very centered in robotics. We have robotics with manipulator, robotics that are focused into human interactions. There are robots that are also steered towards logistics and moving boxes around the hospital. We also have IoT, like wearables, proximity detector. We have IoT and robots that are mixed in this concept that we call the transparent robot. We have AI in terms of behavioral analysis of users, patients, and citizens in the hospital moving around, trying to find how they move and optimize those movements. We try to also provide inventory management through UI and optimization that way. And of course, through our partners in this area, we also have applications for clinical management, for infection traceability, for monitoring at home, and so on. So there is a lot of use cases, a lot of heterogeneous technologies here. There's a lot of things that maybe are unrelated to one another. So the point here is to bring a platform that enables hospital management, IT management, as well as clinical management and logistical management, to have a complete overview of their technology and try to manage this technology in a smarter way. As I mentioned before, one of these ways to manage the technology is to think of the technology as not just elements that work on their own, but as individual parts of those elements that can comprise another level that can provide new use cases, new things. This is again bringing the microservice paradigm to the table in terms of hospital management. Of course, extremely important when we are dealing with healthcare, we're trying to provide privacy, security, and trust. On the platform, we provide the tools, elements, and procedures to ensure all these policies are being followed at many levels of the architecture. We want, in order to ensure that the different elements can be reused and are communicated with themselves, we provide also components, main components for interconnecting technologies, interconnecting cares, making sure that these technologies can speak with one another and are able to do this. We provide support. The platform, objectives of the platform is to provide support of the spheres of operation, or what we call the spheres of operation. It's not just the clinical side. We also like to think of a hospital as a mini city in itself. So it has a lot of organs of management aside of the clinics. It's also part of a logistical operation. It's sometimes described as a fancy hotel. In terms of, you have beds that need changing, guests, patients that need to be informed, that need to be so on, as well as each hospital is not just isolated building that works on its own. It's not just a hotel. It integrates in a territorial manner with hospital system, with other hospitals, with regional, national healthcare provider systems, whether are public, private, and so on. So it's a very complex scenario that we want to, that we see in the hospital, and the platform needs to provide support for. The way we support those spheres of operation is through what we call intervention areas. These are the main resources, or the main elements of what makes the hospital work. Traditionally, this has been the worker and the location, with the technologies provided inside that location. We'd like to enhance this to, so we call them e-worker, e-location, and we add a new layer of intervention, a new intervention area with the e-robot, so that the robot operations can also provide similar services, similar operations in the hospital. Something that we discussed already is about the abstraction of resources, so enabling heterogeneous technologies to be there, to interact with one another, to see what we have there, and that enables us for also orchestrating these resources into new use cases. So we will see an example of this later, but basically use the different elements of the technologies in new ways without having to rewrite them, in order to provide new use cases, or to accommodate the use case of that technology to the hospital operations, and this is done through workflows. We provide we would like to provide common frameworks for the different technologies, so providing tools and interfaces for these technologies. We also like to think that data we are living in the data era, so we are providing also functionality from the platform in order to collect and monitor all the cares, the platform itself, and therefore collect important data for decision maker in the hospital, as well as providing a distribution manner. So one important thing about the Odin platform is that it is distributed, it is federated. Each hospital will have its own instance of the platform, and we provide components that enable different instances to share functionalities, to share resources. This is a high-level plan of the architecture. We have the cares on the lower level. As I mentioned before, these don't have to be devices. They can be full-on solutions that are connected to the platform through the core framework. But depending on the care, they may also leverage the specific framework that for IoT, robotics, or AI, we are going to provide, in order to provide easier integration with the platform in those areas. As I mentioned, the platform enables communication with other instances, other deployments of the same platform, as well as interaction with the user. So the user can, in this case, user meaning administrators or clinicians or even patients, can access these different resources according to their level, to their policies, access policies, and so on. So this is the full overview of the platform. As I mentioned, the platform we would like to think of it as an operating system. I've been throwing around the case of microservices, but you can think of this as an operating system, where each hospital will install this operating system, which is the platform, And inside this operating system, we start the cares, different technologies and different devices, different applications, data, whatever. But through this operating system, the different users can look at the different parts of that complete systems that they have. So they can manage the technology, they can ensure the technology is communicating with one another, they can understand what the technology is and what is used for. We can also communicate with other hospitals. So this case is sort of an internet element in traditional operating systems. Try to use other resources there. We can create through the workflows new components or make the system autonomously react to different conditions and use its resources in a more optimal way, as well as monitoring the different elements that are running in this operating system. One key part or one key step when bringing a technology to Odin or installing a technology in Odin, we use this registration. So when we have a new technology added to the hospital, we have to register. This registration, this Odin Platform resource registration is based on the Odin Ontology. I may bring up the slide later. I read the message there. So that the characteristics of each technology is described. There are different levels of description, different elements of this description. Right now, the definition of this resource descriptor is not yet completed. I have to be honest with this, but the main idea here is that through this registration, you will be able to describe your technology in a standardized way through the ontology, as well as the different interactions that this resource, this technology can do, such as the services that it offers, the configuration that it requires, the subscription and other elements that it will consume, how it will interact with other resources in other instances. So basically a full-on description of the technology. Once we have this technology registered, the technology will probably provide some information. So we will, in the easiest case, the IoT case, we have devices that provide information, and this information, it's the same for every resource. It's in the format that the device or the application or the robot understands. What we need is a semantic alignment to transform this information into a common language. This common language is the ontology, and it's going to be based in something clinical such as FHIR, HL7 FHIR, but there are other models that we can use in order to provide this common language for the information that is flowing. As well as adapting the information to the language, we also need to adapt the transport, which means that this is the whole picture of how communication between resources happens. That we have this first step of semantic alignment. So if we have a device that is reading in the temperature, for example, and is using MQTT, first is going to transform this content into common content, and then we have to transform the transport level or syntactic transformation into our common enterprise service bus, which by now you see that is basically Kafka. And we have also definition of the different topics and elements, how to cooperate with other resources using all those topics and message bus. So providing an example through the ontology, through the architecture, you see we have here the IoT device that produces some measurement. It is semantically translated, then we transport it, we adapt the transport layer to Kafka. The Kafka, this brings to the Kafka enterprise bus. We see that we have another part of the, another resource that has registered for this type of message, so that the Kafka push can then contact its what we call connector to do the inverse operation, transform the syntactic transformation from the Kafka push to whatever transport layer it is. Maybe in this case it's HTTP, and then the semantic transformation, semantic mapping, alignment, however you want to call it, in order for the application to use. So this way, what we can achieve is that independent technologies don't need changes. What they need is this component, the connector, in order to interact and make this interaction, this communication with the platform, and therefore other components viable. And of course, that was one of the questions. I think this connector needs to be provided by the technology provider that is trying to integrate the technology into the bus. And of course, this has to do with the ontology that we need to provide, and we will keep you updated on the latest version of that ontology in due time. So this is the main concept of communication in the platform. And now, really quickly, because I think I'm a bit over time, going to go through some components. So the first is the resource choreographer. The idea here is you have different elements, and then you can create workflows. These workflows, as I mentioned before, may be workflows of operation that the hospital has defined. It may be new workflows that create new use cases. In either case, what the idea here is using the different elements provided in the platform and creating automatic workflows, dynamic workflows that allow the platform to create, to extend the use and reuse of the technologies available there. Here's just a very simple example of how to use this. So, for example, we have the temperature sensor, or as we've seen in the IoT examples, we might have a camera system, and with these two elements, we can connect them to a fire detection system. This fire detection system can connect to an evacuation plan. So this information is step from one to another. The evacuation plan, of course, will need information from the floor plan, which might be updated due to building operations, renewal, maintenance, or whatever. So this is a dynamic evacuation plan, and this evacuation plan can then contact end users, patients, citizens in the hospital, or robots in order to act upon this emergency. So this is one simple, very simple case. Of course, it's not as simple. It's not as simple as that, but it's just for you to get an idea of how this choreography works. The next component is the resource federation. And the idea of the resource federation is that it will allow the different resources to be shared between instances. So the idea here is that these resources, you might have local resources, you might have remote resources. In any case, they are all acting from a consumer perspective as if they were all local. The federation also means, the federation idea means that thanks to this component of this view, you can construct the hospital in different ways. For example, you can create a hospital instance and have sub-instances for the different departments. If you have big departments that need their own more specific management, then you can have that, or you can have clouds that are providing infrastructure, other type of infrastructure, and other type of resources to the hospitals, whether these are territorial information services or AI infrastructure to provide AI operations in a secure way. So you can have common cloud instances for that, or you may want to have more lightweight instances for example, hospitality, home hospitalization. So you may have a residence instance that is connecting to the hospital and ensuring that the devices that the user is using at home are connecting to the proper services and so on. So that is very powerful component to build in this distribution manner. Very quickly on how this works, the idea is that you have two instances. One instance wants to contact or consume information from another instance. So the idea is that through their gateways, the instances are get together. The resource federation checks that the permission is granted. So there is, of course, permissioning level and assurance that this is all viable and approved by whoever needs to approve this usage. All this is maintained through blockchain technology. So we are ensuring that the permissions and so on are immutable, as well as ensuring that whenever the interaction is established, we are also tracing these transactions between the different resources and having these transactions reported in the blockchain, ensuring that this later can be reviewed. Next component is metric collection. The idea here is that similar to any other technologies, you can have an introspect of your technologies and have different metrics collected all together. There are different kinds of metrics that we can use. The idea is that then we can build upon this system in order to provide higher level KPIs, not just technical metrics like number of access, whether the resource is working, stopping, and how it is optimized. But also the system provides alerting system and dashboards for all this. Our idea here is to start with the system, if you are familiar with this kind of system, with Prometheus underlying element and a Grafana system for the dashboards, which means that the dashboards you can also customize depending on the users that are looking at this or the type of information that you want to look into. We have also platform management, so we want to make things easy for IT administrators. So the idea here is that IT administrators can look at what the technologies are registered, what kind of technologies are registered, access control, configuration, and so on, ensuring that the platform is working as it should, as well as embedded documentation. So the idea here is that the platform will have a system in order for not just IT management inside the hospital to access this documentation, but for all users that interact with the platform to have the proper documentation alongside with their applications and interactions with the platform, ensuring that the documentation is already there and it's accessible. And finally, a component that we think that might be useful is the feedback and support. So the idea here is that IT management can create tickets within the platform and automatically attach the logs and the different elements that might be relevant to this ticketing, and manage all the feedback through this embedded tool. So that's a very, very quick overview of the components of the platform. So just to summarize, I would like to end with this slide of how would open callers, or how we expect open callers to integrate with the platform. So the idea there is there are different routes. One is to provide your technology as a new care. So whether you are creating new technologies or you want to integrate your existing technology, you want to cooperate in this microservice environment in the smart hospital, what you have to do then is to create this sidecar which contains the connector, as well as maybe some adapters in order to adapt any service or any call that you might need in order for your application. This means, or your application, your technology. This means that you can keep your technology as it is, and the integration is focused on this component that adapts this technology or integrates this technology with the platform. In the same way, you can consume other cares that we have in the hospital and try to create this ecosystem, or enrich this, take advantage of this enriched ecosystem. So through the enterprise service bus, you might want to subscribe to standard topics that will be published in time. Or you might want to use the resource management system to check out what kind of resources, other resources are in the hospital, and act accordingly. So this automatic, enabling this automatic discovery of resources and making your component more applicable to the different kinds. You could also provide infrastructure, as we've seen with the federated resource federation component, where you can provide an infrastructure. So you have your own deployment of Odin, and then you provide your resources within this deployment. There's one specific case for creating workflows. So the idea there is, well, you have your resource discovery system, and then you will be able to check these different resources, create your workflows or optimize workflows, or provide reusable dynamic workflows for the hospitals. And finally, this is an open source project, so the idea that you can contribute to core facilities of the platform, or provide new components to the platform is always a possibility there. So that's also an intended application for
Thank you so much, Alejandro, for this detailed explanation. I'm pretty sure that now all the participants have now a better understanding about what is our platform, what we are developing, and what is the meaning of integration, because we are always talking about this, and sometimes it's very difficult to understand what does it mean, right? So, okay, now we can go through the questions written in the Q&A. Piero has a lot of questions here, no worry, we can go through them. First question, in this project, we can be data suppliers, providers, we can use APIs to make data available for any service user administrator who may ask for them. We understood that we have to create a connector to interact with your communication bus.
Yes, this is the case.
We understood that we could use almost every communication protocol available to date. As for the connector, the block entitled Semantic Translation on page 7 is not specified. We understood that we were supposed to create it. We need specifications for the ontology to use. Do we need to create a new ontology? If yes, is there any rule to follow? If not, could you send us an example?
So this is the current view of the ontology. The idea is that it covers a lot of domains in the IoT, robotics, and AI, as well as hospital management. But basically, right now, the ontology is based on hospital domain, clinical management elements. So we need to update this ontology in order to provide all the full description of what we need. One key aspect is we don't expect open callers to create their ontology for specific parts, but we will cooperate if you need certain elements of this ontology modeled. We will try to accommodate all of this. Hopefully, we will have all the needed concepts there in the ontology.
Okay, thank you so much, Alejandro, for the answers. Here we go with a question 2. In case we expose new data that are not already handled by the Odin platform, how does the Odin platform react to this? Sorry.
Yes, this is through the Odin platform, as I explained before, has this component, which is the enterprise service bus. There will be standard topics for this enterprise service bus, and through the resource descriptor, you can create specific topics for your publication, for your technology, for your resource. This is for streaming or event type communication, but you could also, through the resource management system, register data provision services. So you can connect their databases and so on. So this is held in the resource management system, which makes it discoverable. As I try to make the point, it makes it discoverable for other resources in the instance or remote instance if applicable. So number 2, yes. 3, page 7 describes the connection of Odin instances. Is this automated, or is it somehow written by partners? As I explained, the idea of this federation component is that there is going to be a manual part of configuring the access elements. It is still not defined. We might have a hybrid part where you could potentially create an entry in the blockchain saying that any Odin instance can access your instance for a public service, for example. So this is a possibility, but basically I think it's not going to be that automatic. Of course, this is one of those components that we are still in the definition of, and it's going to be provided in the later phases of the project. 4, let's suppose I'm a subject A that joins partner P in an Odin core, supplies data, and P handles the hospital. Can P develop its own application, web or mobile? P must connect to the Odin platform, but the Odin dashboard or APIs are provided to avoid this. For integration of UI, the Odin platform provides APIs and protocols, but you could absolutely work outside the platform. However, this when we evaluate the integration potential of your proposal, we will take this into account. Because it's less, it's not so ideally you will use the elements of the platform in order to provide the validation for the platform. Number 5, if a hospital administration want to develop a new KPI, should be this done inside Odin or externally or in a different web portal? In this case, is there any technical specification? As I said, we are using Prometheus, so you can define your KPIs outside the system and then just add, just connect those KPIs to the system, and then you should be able to gather those KPIs. The specification right now is the Prometheus, so you use the Prometheus provider, or I don't quite remember the technical term, but it's there. Is it possible to access some technical information about the ontology definition? Is there a schema? Yes, I don't have it with me right now. As I showed you, I didn't want this presentation today to go too much into detail, but we can provide a specific course or a video or a documentation on the ontology itself. I've already mentioned that the ontology is not complete, that it's evolving the next one is for, can you explain a bit better the 4 scenarios for new providers?
I go for this, Alejandro.
Okay.
So for the challenge 1, we have subcase 1, inventory management. The proposed solution must be based on commercial or open source software and hardware to make inventory management as safe, quick, and automatic as possible in hospital environments. The second one is the anomaly detection system. The proposed system should be able to notify about anomalies detected in Odin Platform KPI streams, or provide a composite analysis of multiple KPI streams. Hospital recognition, the proposed system must be able to detect different objects in hospital environments like beds, mobile equipment, etc., as well as common objects such as human faces, chairs, doors, etc., through generic video feeds. And the fourth one, reusable workflows. We propose the definition of common, generic, and reusable workflows for hospital management. These workflows may be formalized using Odin Choreographer component and should employ as much as possible the common curves available in the different Odin pilots as inputs. Next question regarding challenge 2. The minimum number of participants is 2. I would like to know if the consortium could be composed of 2 public entities, for example, a public hospital and a public university, being the latter the technology provider. Yes, it's possible that the consortium could be composed by 2 public entities. Yes. Next question, what is the real need of the hospital behind the subcase hospital object recognition? Why the users needs this technology? I don't know, Alejandro, if you can answer to this question.
Yes, so the actual need is one clear example of using technology and making hospitals smarter. Right now we have hospitals that have a surveillance system for security reasons, and this surveillance system is only used for surveillance. But what if we could do object recognition over the surveillance feed and provide new data over this surveillance feed, so we can track the status of waiting areas, of corridors in the hospital, detect when a machine or a bed is obstructing evacuation routes, and give that kind of feedback to the administrators so that they can take the decisions there. So basically, and in the concept of microservices, we think that one basic service over this is to have object recognition, and that just reports what kind of object is detecting it, where, to which camera, so more or less is there. And then we have a second level of AI that is able to gather this information and provide more detailed situational awareness of the elements detected in the surveillance. So it's quite open, unfortunately, but you can think of different object recognitions that might be useful in the hospital.
Thank you, Alejandro. Would you be able to share your presentation after the webinar? Yes, I will send a PDF to all participants. Next question is for you as well, Alejandro, for challenge 2. How we can the data from the pilot be integrated into the Odin platform if the hospital where the pilot is not done is not from the Odin consortium and therefore has not the Odin platform integrated in the hospital?
Let me interpret this because I'm not sure I got it. So how can the data from the pilot integrated into the Odin platform in the hospital where the pilot is done is not from the Odin consortium? Well, the idea there is, once again, you have the data, the services, the cares are managed by each individual hospital. So the hospital needs to have its own instance of Odin. So even if the hospital, in this case, pilot, is not in the Odin consortium, they should install it's open source, you should install the platform in their own premises or in a cloud provider, and provide them their information through the connectors and through the different elements, so that the different technologies that are there that could potentially be installed there can access that information. I'm not sure if I'm making the point through, but this is basically the idea. The Odin consortium is one thing, the Odin platform is a different thing. The Odin platform is open source and you can use it as you wish. So other pilots that are not in the Odin consortium will be able to provide the data, their services, or whatever, through the same mechanism. So this is the same idea as an operating system. You have the browser. Each one of us has a different browsers, but all browsers are installing the same operating system. And the idea there is that the browser interacts with the other elements in our different systems. So it's in the same case. Hope I'm making sense. I'm not sure.
Okay. Second question. For the challenge 1, I know that it's only one entity, but do we still have to add a testing phase to the VP and indicate find a pilot to test the developed technology, or better to keep in a simulation environment or in the lab environment? Well, yes, in the challenge 1, you don't need to provide the hospital, so
we can, I mean, I think this is part of your proposal. You can think of the Odin as a technological scenario where a feature where you showcase your technologies, and then this enables you to, for potential hospital, to say, okay, I'm interested in your technology, how can we do this? That would be ensuring that your technology works in a lab environment. Or you can, if your technology is more mature, it has a higher TLR and so on, then you could potentially in your proposal ask for a specific integration with hospitals that may be interested, and provide different routes and different methods for validating your technology and cooperating with those consortium pilots. I think this, Marta, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are both possibilities.
It can be a possibility, but as this is a proposal, we cannot ensure that at the end we can provide the pilot to test the technology.
Of course, it depends on the pilots themselves. Yeah. So if in the evaluation phase we select your proposal and you say, no, we need a pilot, we will contact pilots that might be interested in this. In the best scenario, which I guess at least one pilot will be interested in your technology if it has been selected and we see the potential, this will be the case, but it's not guaranteed that the pilots will be interested. In that case, we will negotiate how to proceed with that evaluation.
Okay, next question. How to calculate the cost for implementation of our APIs with Odin Platform? Do you have a test paper for that, or it's done after the project X is selected? Really, I don't know how you can calculate this cost. Pretty sure that is not done after the project is selected. So for the proposal being selected, you need to submit the breakdown cost, which is these Excel files that I was mentioned before. And everything is detailed, but I cannot give you instructions about how to calculate your cost. Okay.
Okay. Next one is for me. What is your semantic interoperability solution? I think I've been quite clear. The idea is here to have this sidecar connector, semantic alignment, and syntactic transformation. If there is a platform that you think that we should use or a specific solution for that, send us an email and we can evaluate it. But we will like to keep it as simple as possible. I think that was very fine.
Next question. As we have seen, Odin's care can be in different fields, IoT, robotics, and artificial intelligence applications. Are end-to-end applications that use, for example, IoT or artificial intelligence able to apply to this open call as an application care?
Yes. As I said, the idea there is that you have your technology, can bring the full technology as a package and integrate it that way. Then in that integration level, which is then very simple integration level, you just describe your technology and register that. But we expect a bit more integration in terms of at least provide some data for from the end-to-end application. That the clearest example is if you are providing something that is a surveillance system, that you can provide something in between that we can create new use cases from it. So that was one example.
Yes, I would like to remark here that Odin focus on artificial intelligence, robotic and IoT domains, but also related domains. It's not closed. We are open to any technology that provides productivity and efficiency to the improve efficiency to the hospitals. So it's really open.
Next one is about the Odin ontology. How many concepts are there in ontology? I don't have the data with me. It is linked with clinical ontology almost certainly. So the Odin ontology as it is right now, it is a collection of standardized ontologies. So you will be familiar with the concepts there. I don't think we have. I don't think we have any specific concepts defined for me yet. Next one.
Yes, we are going to provide the presentation afterwards. Next one, I am supposed to create an ontology for the data I will push to the ESB, or I am supposed to observe a predefined scheme.
The idea is that we will have a predefined scheme for every data out there, possible for the hospital domain. This schema will be extensible, so and generic, so you will have generic data sharing and a possibility to extend, meaning you could provide your own ontology, but hopefully this will not be the main case.
Okay, next one. As I understand, the digital solution we are going to propose for a hospital implementation is supposed to run within the Odin platform. Yeah. In this case, the hospital will have to install it and assume its operational and integration with the other information systems already in place, such as the laboratory IS.
So this is one interesting question. We hope that the platform provides the tools in order to create this integration out of the box. We recognize it will not always be the case because there are many types of keys, there are many types of information databases, each hospital is its own world, so meaning that unfortunately the hospitals will have to work on their own integration with the platform. However, what we will do is for those open callers that have selected, we will have full support for this integration, and we will provide all the needs and resources that are needed in order to complete this integration. You are muted, Marta. How to ensure that the unique identifiers from the different resources communicate with each other? Are there mapping technologies for that? The idea of identifiers, right now we don't have a strategy for this. We are developing, it's part of at least the identifiers inside the core topics, as I mentioned, is something that we have think about. Ideally, there is not going to be problems with identifiers if you are using schemas for your IDs that ensure this. So instead of using ID 1, you are using ID provider, hospital, device type of data, something like that, or UID if you think in this case. So I recognize this is not an answer, but definitely something that we think that is we can provide a solution for once we get to that. Can we give more information on the challenge of reusable workflow? Yes. So as I mentioned before, We have the component that we will provide the component that provides a workflow support, orchestration, basically. The idea here is that the challenge, you can propose two types of challenge. One is sort of an alternative to that component. So you can create a workflow manager that might be more smart, that might be smarter than the one that we provide, that might be automatic, that might be more easy to use. Or you can approach this from a procedural perspective and say, well, according to the legislation in European legislation or a specific country, we have identified that all hospitals must follow this procedure, and this procedure can be automatized using the resources or some of the resources that might be available in a hospital. So we are providing this generic workflow for hospitals to use. That's one particular case that might be in the open call. Another way is to say, okay, we identify that there is common procedures in the hospital, and these common procedures, it's not a legal binding, but it's just common procedures. And there are different ways to do things in the hospital. So we can provide workflows that map those procedures or subparts of those procedures so that the hospitals can already integrate it. Or a fourth way to approach this problem is to provide processes, sub-processes as workflows that can be reused and configurable by hospitals in order to then create bigger, more complex workflows.
Next question, can Odin Platform provide a risk and impact evaluation for data protection to integrate data management system and ensure the compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation?
Not at the moment, but it's definitely something that is very interesting that we should think into. Yes, I'm going to take this as a great suggestion. So the answer is right now it's not envisioned, but we will see what we can do in this respect.
What are the different levels of integration expected in Odin? I mean, it is possible to have a final application like a third-party service that use data from Odin, as an example from the Resources Federation or from the metrics register.
Yes, as you've seen, there are different integration. And on my last slide, there were different integration routes. What we expect from technology providers is to at least provide some data. This is whether it's a topic, so something that is being published into the service bus, whether it's information, batch information, so it's a service that is providing access to this information, whether it's consuming. I wouldn't guarantee that if you say that you are integrated with a metric system, you are integrated. Maybe you need that, unless this is a metric, your system is handling specifically, because there's one challenge that is specifically for that, that is handling metric information. So unless your system is specifically interested and treating the metrics as core information, I would suggest to be more open about integration, minimal integration requirements.
Okay, next question. I really don't understand this. But so an application which could be a care, could be a reusable workflow for the challenge? Okay, I understand.
An application which could be a care, could be a reusable workflow. Yes, that was, yes, I think that this more or less is the first workflow challenge option that I described in the previous answer. So basically saying I have a specific application that provides workflow type operation, so very specific orchestrator. But in the evaluation of this solution, we will determine the value of that solution for the hospitals and whether this solution is smart in order to provide this. Answer is yes, but you need to be careful about how to frame it.
Okay, next question. The platform has inherent cost for maintenance. So I guess no for the next 3 years?
Not for the next 3 years. The only inherent costs are the implicit costs of your infrastructure. So the hospitals will need to provide their own infrastructure. If it's this in-house, they can they have this. If it's a public cloud provider, then they'll have to incur on contracting this cloud provider for hosting their own instance of the platform. That's the only cost there. As far as the resources needed, we don't have right now evaluation about the costs, but just for referral, our platform is based on Kubernetes, so you need to have a Kubernetes provider, and that means that in terms of resources, it will depend on the services and the components that you add to the platform. So it's a bit open in that sense.
Next question. In the first webinar, it was mentioned that appliers can submit a concept very low developed. It will be a decision of the board to evaluate or not the application. However, one of the eligibility criteria is to have at least TRL 6. So it is or not possible to apply with a concept or a prototype. Is it possible to apply with a less TRL, and it will be a decision of the board to evaluate it? Sometimes we realize that you submit a concept proposal and they realize that it's very valuable for us for the project. So then sometimes pass this condition. So it is really open. Sometimes for a specific use case is written in the challenge the specific TRL that we are looking for. For example, if I remember well, the subcase number 1 in the challenge 1 is specified that we are looking up to 7, if I remember well. So for this case, we are looking for up to 7, but in the others that are not specified, you can submit a concept and will be in the side of the board to evaluate if it's valuable for us. Next question. Is it possible to participate as a new pilot formed by a company that produces position data, a company that does not processing on this data, and a hospital where the technology is installed? I guess yes. If it is any issue related to the technical part from my side, yes, you can participate. Does the platform support the integration ontologies of a care device that produce medical imagery data?
Yes, we will include. I think it's already included the concept of DCOM standard image management. So you can define a service that produces this kind of standard, or you can provide a topic for this kind of data. That would be not very effective, but you can provide a topic that makes an announcement that a new DCOM is ready. So in this case, how you actually produce it is very flexible in the platform. the platform already. I think the ontology. I have to check it, but I think I remember this discussion that the DCOM is something that is mentioned there.
Are there specific constraints integration routes if we participate as a team with a clinical partner?
Other than the ones that we have already stated, the integration routes were meant for mostly for challenge 1, but I think it also applies to challenge 2, because you need your technology to be integrated into the hospital. It's less. I guess that in the case of challenge 2, the idea is more, as we mentioned before, is to showcase your technology for other hospitals to adopt. And in order for other hospitals to adopt, particularly those in the consortium, it is best that it is already integrated in the Odin platform, and at least you have a clear plan on how to integrate your technology there.
Can a care be developed to monitor physiological parameters from patients like heart rate? Yes. There will be then another care artificial intelligence service that will consume this medical imagery data? Yes.
The idea is that for consumers, and this is a market of technology, so you should assume that there will always be some interesting technology in your data. That way in the future you are future proving, meaning that okay, there will be AI that is managing this. Maybe it's not provided today, but it will be provided in the future, and the way that technology consumes the data is through the elements in the platform, and just you are just preparing for that.
Thank you very much for your kind replies. Could you please be so kind to consider sending the ontology scheme to this email? If it's relevant for all of you, we can upload some kind of image to our website, to the specific tab to the open call for the rest of the participants that have the same issue like you. So we will. Yes. We will upload it.
Looking at your questions, that are many of them around the ontology, I think that what should do is provide a new information package specifically on the ontology. We will look at how to provide exactly this package. The ontology is published in a server somewhere. I need to check out the URL so you can explore it dynamically, and so it's better than an image. But we have to check if this is if public dissemination of these services acceptable by the partner that is hosting it, basically, and if there are other materials that you need for the ontology. So we will provide. We will think about this sometime next week. Okay.
Yeah, and I would like also to remark that we have public deliverables that are produced by our project, and they are public in our main website. So we have a specific route for this, and you can check it, download it, read it. If it is the case that I am not sure now, if the ontology is public, then you can look for it. If not, we will try to do our best and provide this information as soon as possible. Okay.
Actually, yes. According to the DOA, the knowledge-based ontology semantic ontology deliverable 3.2 is public, and it should be already in the website. So yes, right. Basically, you have already the information package there.
So then it's already fantastic. It's already.
We have to check that the deliverable is actually in the website, but it should be there.
Okay, we will check then. Where should be collocated? A company offering logistical services to hospitals that respond to challenge 2 with a technology provider for a new service not already covered by Odin in platform management of the resources management layer or outside the platform instance in other Odin services.
Let me think about your question. If I'm trying to understand, when you mean collocation, you mean how do we interpret where these components should be executed, right? It depends on your service or on your technology. You can provide. You could potentially provide logistical services through the federation framework. So on another instance, that could be, for example, providing logistic service for external operations of the hospital, external logistics. I don't know if that's a thing. But we expect that the logistic components are inside the resource management system, so that whether it's in another ontology. No, that was not the question. Outside the platform instance, in the other services. Top view. Other services. I think that when you are providing a care that is specifically for a use case, what you are doing is providing a specific service there. So you are registering a care there. It's not as and then you are using the resource management system in order to communicate this. Platform management is not logistics. Platform management is the basic tools of the platform. So platform management are the tools that the platform is providing to manage the platform, not to manage logistics or to manage anything. You could use those tools in your solution, for example, for configuration or for providing documentation on your solution. All that will be in turn clarified, but basically all open call challenges are focused in order to provide other services, not platform management. Okay. Unless you think platform management needs something that for platform management, for managing the cares and managing the technologies and managing the communication process and managing all the other things that the platform provides that needs. But
okay, we need to go quickly because we are 35 minutes over.
Yes.
But I would like to finalize all the questions.
Maybe what we can do is because these questions are being posted after 1 o'clock. If we are continuing answering questions, and then we can leave it here, and unfortunately
we have seven. If we go quickly, maybe we can.
Okay.
But I mean, if I
know that post new questions, please.
If so, we will try to do another webinar only for questions. We are open. I mean, we are here to help you, so we can propose some other webinar only to make this round of questions. Okay, next one. Odin's care can be in the different fields: IoT, robotics, artificial intelligence, and applications. Are end-to-end applications that use, for example, IoT or artificial intelligence able to apply to this open call as an application care that sends metric into the Odin system? The answer is yes. I think we already answered this question.
Yes.
Does the integration with Odin plus integration of Odin in the hospital plus pilot study need to be done within 1 year? Yes, I mean, this is the target, that you that whole the project, the integration and the testing and the deployment, everything be completed in 1 year. For sub-case 1, inventory management, which kind of stock consumables have to be considered? Medicine products, food for patients. It's really open. I mean, as you wish. Again, we are really open to offer solutions that help the hospitals in improve their efficiency and productivity. So it's really open, as you wish.
And if your solution is generic, you want to highlight that in your proposal, so highlight that.
If the proposed solution has a web app platform for managing data from an app, should be integrated inside Odin Platform, or only the information for the hospital?
The information for the hospital, let's say, the level of integration mandatory. It's preferable to always have a level of information, whereas integrating the UI, the app itself, the front end, if you wish, is more optional. That's the gist there.
Can the infrastructure cost be in the budget for the healthcare provider to rent cloud, third-party provider? Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, this should be part of your budget cost. I noticed there are already a consortium of interested hospitals from last session. Our hospital still can manifest interest. What's the procedure? We don't offer an interest. I mean, you need to propose your proposal needs to cover already a hospital or a company. But what we have in our website, we are offering another kind of participation in Odin. So we have created the Odin community, the innovation community, and you can be part here. But this is another kind of participation in our project. This is not a funded channel, but here you can propose your technology, your service, or your company, offering, I mean, some kind of portfolio, visible for all the hospitals and the rest of the companies inside of our ecosystem, and also for hospitals that want to post a challenge, need, something that they would like to solve in the hospital. They can provide this challenge. This will be open to anyone that would like to read it and propose a technology to solve this specific solution. Okay, but this is not funded opportunities. But of course, we are in the middle, and we will provide meetings, conversations between the hospital and the provider. For anomaly,
okay. That last question, which was just posted 2 minutes ago, when I said no more posting. Okay, yes. I'm going to answer this. The question is about anomaly detection challenge and whether it should be clinical or platform performance, care performance, and so on. The idea here is that, as with all the challenges, is open. So Odin, as we've mentioned before, it's trying to provide support for the different spheres of influence. This is clinical, logistical, location. So those are basically your targets. If you want to find anomaly detection in locations through the other challenge of object recognition, then you could potentially find a partnership there. Also, we also have an basic object recognition system under works in the project, so you could also use that. In order to basically detect anomalies in locations, you can use IoT data, robotic data, or AI data to find anomalies in those data streams. So that's another possibility. You could find anomalies in databases of logistics, of operations there. You could find anomalies in clinical data. Of course, the challenge is not so much focuses toward that, but if we are open to that kind of proposal. And you could also find anomalies in the behavior of the cares and try to provide feedback on whether different cares are being misbehaving or different cares are being accessed more than usual, and that might be a security risk or another kind of risk there. So it's quite open in that sense. It's not geared towards clinical, but it's a possibility if you want.
Okay, so we finish here. Thank you so much, Alejandro, for being part of this amazing webinar. Thank you all participants to post all the questions and be here until the end. So we are going to consider the option to make a specific, maybe not a webinar, but a round of questions, that because I see that there is a lot of questions. So again, we are here open to help you. So we will consider this option. And well, I encourage all of you to present your proposal to make more valuable this project, this platform, and to enrich our Odin platform. So thank you very much, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. If you have more questions, technical questions, send them to the email. If we see there is a common topic, we will address those questions specifically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.